Good evening, everyone. My name is Adam Wise, and I would like to talk to all of you about our most vital resource on the planet. So, what might happen to us as a species if we run out of oil? And if we start running low on oil, what's going to happen? Higher gas prices? We aren't going to be able to fly airplanes across continents? It's going to be a major inconvenience, right? We're going to have to find new energy sources for ground transportation, maybe hydrogen or maybe solar power. Is that even possible? Who knows? But price would everything would go up, right? We use oil for everything. I mean, to get a plastic spoon that we eat with, has anyone ever seen that picture? All the things that go into that? Transporting the raw materials, the plastic, the spoon itself was refined from petroleum, transporting it to the grocery store, disposing of it, the trash disposal service coming to pick it up, then throw it away, recycling it, hopefully in a landfill. It all uses tons of oil. So humanity would have to adapt if we started running out of oil, right? The truth is, humanity's lived for thousands of years without oil, without internal combustion engines. Life would go on. Now, what if we started running out of fresh water? It's a different story, right? All life as we know it is carbon-based and requires water. Maybe not viruses, but are viruses really life forms? I don't know. People are kind of viruses in a way, what we do to the planet. It's terrible. We're already seeing the impacts of prolonged drought in Texas, right? Does anyone like burgers or steaks? Anyone notice the price of meat going up? We've had a drought in California and Texas and the southern part of the U.S. for a long time now. Has anyone in here my age ever been to Barton Springs back when it used to be full of water and go now and see how dried up it is? No? Oh, y'all make me feel old. All right. So, do we have a tendency to take water for granted because it's so ubiquitous? It's everywhere. I mean, we can go to a water fountain and easily get water. We can buy bottled water at the supermarket, right? Artificial market there. Anyone remember that from class? No? Why do we take it why do we take it so for granted? Fresh drinking water hasn't always been available to us. I mean, as little as 150 years ago, probably sooner than that. I mean, anyone heard the stories about the Europeans in the Middle Ages? They were always drunk all the time. They couldn't drink fresh water because the wells were poisoned with, well, I won't mention what with, but they had to drink beer all the time, right? Because the process of the beer, the yeast turning the sugars into acids and L-acetylene hydroxides or whatever else that makes beer so wonderful also neutralized the bacteria and the harmful substances in it. So they were a perpetually drunk society, but they didn't have fresh water. We do. We always do. It's everywhere around us. We don't even think about it, right? Turn on the tap, fresh water, not a problem. Okay? Still, even today, even as readily available as it is for us in a country like America, there are millions of people that die every year from contaminated water. Still, 2014. Right? So, how long could humanity go without fresh, drinkable water? Could we adapt to that? So, why should we be worried right now? The Earth is made of 70% water, right? The Earth is this huge, big chunk of matter in the middle of space. Well, only the Earth's surface is 70% water. And most of that, 98% of it, is actually seawater. It's salinated. We can't do anything without it. With that, we can't drink salt water. You'd die of dehydration. Weird, right? So 2% of all water on Earth is fresh water. Of that 2%, nearly 70% of that is actually frozen in the ice caps. Right? Most of the rest of it is in the air, underground, in the soil. Not really accessible. So how much of it is accessible to us? 0.007%, just like 007 James Bond, except with a decimal. That's not that much when you think about it. That's all of the lakes, rivers, aquifers, underground reservoirs, all the places we go swimming every time we turn on our tap. All that water, It's only 0.007%. So, are there dangers to our fresh water supply? Yes, but it's more than just the taste of chlorine, which kills the bacteria and also poisons us slowly at the same time. There's all sorts of dangers to it. Do we take precautions to safeguard our drinking water? Yes, we do. We have the Safe Drinking Water Act and the Clean Water Act to help protect our most vital resource. However, there are still threats even with these acts in place. In 2005, the Safe Drinking Water Act and the Clean Water Act were changed to permit companies like Halliburton and other mining companies to wantonly dispose of, destroy drinkable water, whatever they want to, without regulation, without oversight, all in the name of profit. So what is fracking? I'm guessing most people have a general idea of what it is, but here's how it works, okay? We can't just, it's not enough for us to just dig up the oil that's underground anymore. There's not enough of it left for that. However, way, way, way below the surface of the earth, there are shale formations, right? Shale formations are porous, brittle rock, and in that, natural gas is trapped. So someone came up with a brilliant idea of, if we dig all the way down to it, then we can pump in really, really high pressure water and cause this shale to break apart, and then all the gas that's released when that breaks apart will come back up to the surface. Right? However, when they do that, they can't just use ordinary water. It's not efficient enough. They have to mix it with things like sand and a number of dangerous chemicals in order to make it viable, in order for it to go down and allow the flow viscosity of the gas to come back up. So the process of doing this contaminates a lot of water. Right? There are over 600 toxic chemicals and known carcinogens that are mixed with fresh, clean water and then used for hydraulic fracturing. Right? With, I think, over 500,000 wells in the US today, there's 8 million gallons of water roughly used per fracking operation per well. That comes out to roughly 72 trillion gallons of fresh water that's turned into dangerous, unusable wastewater. So wastewater from fracking cannot be treated conventionally by cities' municipal water plant treatment facilities. It's got radioactive materials in it. It's got polycarbonate bonded something or other. I can't even say it, but basically it's really bad, nasty stuff. It would kill you instantly if you drank it. Well, you might suffer for a few minutes first. So what do they do with it? The most profitable and cost-effective thing for these companies to do is they just pump the wastewater back underground. They can't reuse it again. It's contaminated once they've used it for a mining operation. They just pump it underground and forget about it. Right? What kind of negative side effects will that have? We don't know yet. We've tried to do research into the field, but well, politics is ahead of the research field. Research takes time, and then there's lobbyists and propaganda generating people that just tell us everything's fine. Don't worry about it. You don't see any problems, right? Okay. Really, though, that's probably doing horrible things to our planet, and it may affect the future drinking water of everyone we know for some time to come. We don't know yet. There are better options, though. It might be a little costly up front, but the wastewater can be treated and recycled. It would be a more upfront cost to these companies, but in the end, I think everyone would benefit from it. It would save them the expense and logistics of having to truck a lot of fresh water out to their mining sites to reuse every time. Save them fuel expense. They wouldn't have to hire all those drivers, right? So in the long run, it might save them money to do that. It might help their public image if mining companies actually pretended to give a crap about the earth. But we all know they don't. So if this is a potential issue, why don't more people take notice? Well, people have taken notice. People that live around sites where they have fracking wells, they've taken notice. They've published some documentaries. It gets mentioned in the news from time to time. Maybe someone writes a newspaper article about it, but because it doesn't affect the majority of us, it just gets swept under and nobody really tends to notice. You know, if somebody were dumping sludge into a public lake, I mean, if somebody built a factory on a town lake, what is it called these days? Ladybird Lake, and just started dumping toxic radioactive green sludge into it, you know, people of Austin might protest and say, hey, stop that. But with fracking, we don't see it. It all goes underground. So, mining companies also spend a lot on propaganda to trivialize the impact of fracking. I mean, they don't want us knowing. They might or might not know how bad it is, but either way, they don't want us to know. And unfortunately, our politicians are susceptible to campaign contributions, so. Really, though, planet Earth is the only planet we have. The nearest possibly habitable planet from us capable of sustaining life is, 20 light years away? We're never going to get there, not with our focus the way it is now. So, if anyone's interested, what can we do to help maintain our water supply? Just learn more about it. If you don't believe what I'm saying, do your own research and then educate that and share it with others. You know, write a letter to your congressman. Don't just take it for granted that it's always going to be there, because it always hasn't been there. And whether or not it's going to be there tomorrow and the next day, it's still up in the air. The safety of our planet, it's in our hands right now. And it is to us and our posterity that we commit our future.